In 4 games this season against Real Madrid, his side has scored 16 times, meaning that in every game they've played against Real Madrid this season, they've scored an average of 4 goals. And Real Madrid are not finding answers to that. And it looks like Hansi Flick and his boys are slowing down. But people are raising eyebrows, especially Madrid fans, asking how these bunch of kids, the likes of Lamine Yamal, who is a teenager, Paul Kabasi, Pedri and co, just whipping the asses of, these grown-ass men. All right, so another Clasico has come to its conclusion. What a game we witnessed. But, if you follow the Clasico throughout the season, then it was another one-sided affair again, where Barcelona ended up trashing Real Madrid. They beat them by 4-3. And we are still, commiserating with Madrid fans. I do not know what is happening to Real Madrid, that they keep on losing to these bunch of kids who are yet to even sit for the BEC. Like, it's quite sad what is happening. So Real Madrid lost the game to Barcelona for the 4th time this season. Barcelona reigned supreme in the Clasico. So this was the 2nd time they were meeting in the league, but then 4th overall. And in the first meeting, it was Barcelona that beat Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu by 4-0. Now, they followed up with that performance with a 5-2 win in the Supercopa España, far away in Saudi. So 5-2, they beat them, and that made it a 9-2 aggregate in 2 games. Then they met again not long ago, in the Copa del Rey final, and that was another time where Barcelona showed Real Madrid that they were just so good, despite the fact that they are playing with a bunch of kids. So they beat them by 3-2. In that final, it was Juscune that scored, in extra time, and then Barcelona won the Copa del Rey title. So that made it a 12-4 aggregate scoreline in just 3 games, meaning that Barcelona were averaging 4 goals per game against Real Madrid this season. Now, they met for the last and final time, thinking that Real Madrid would want to at least win this game, just push Barcelona a bit, reduce the point deficit from 4-1, and hoping that maybe eventually Barcelona will slip up in subsequent games. That would just give them room to go on and win their 37th La Liga title. But unfortunately, Hansi Flick and the boys had other ideas. So Hansi Flick led Barcelona to another historic win over Real Madrid. They recorded a 4-3 victory. Now, it's not just the scoreline, but it was about how, we arrived at that scoreline. So Real Madrid scored very, very early into the game. In the first 5 minutes, they were already 1-up. Kylian Mbappé dispatching, 1 good goal from the penalty spot. They increased the lead again to 2. And you were thinking, when Real Madrid 2-0 up in the first 15 minutes, nothing could have stopped them from walking away with all 3 points. But then it was a vintage performance from Barcelona again. So they had to score 4 times in the first 45 minutes, 4 unanswered goals after Real Madrid had scored twice to make it 4-2. And you are thinking, how is it that, we saw that rivalry between Xavi and then also Ancelotti, where it was always one-sided in favor of Ancelotti. One of the things that Barcelona fans didn't really sit well with, or one of the things that they didn't really like, was the fact that, they were not winning trophies under Xavi, but then it was like they didn't have the upper hand. They were not feeling that superior in the Clasico. So it was Ancelotti just whipping Xavi, left, right, center, and all that when he was in charge. But now it looks like Hansi Flick has found a way, to stop this Real Madrid team without a fuss. Like, they are not even breaking a sweat. They are doing it so easily. It looks like they could just literally wake up from their sleeps, play against Real Madrid, and they'll beat them. So Madrid taking a 2-0 lead through Kylian Mbappé, and then Barcelona scoring 4 times in the first half to make it 4-2 before second half. Then, at some point you could feel they took their foot off the pedal. They were not running at full throttle anymore because they felt like, these are our boys. Let's just, go easy on them. So Barcelona decided not to score in the second half. Real Madrid scored 1, and Kylian Mbappé got himself a hat-trick. But then the game ended 4-3, which means that Barcelona opens up a 7-point gap between themselves and Real Madrid with just about, 3 games to go. Or no, just 2 games to go. So they are not champions. So with 3 games to go. So Barcelona will only need to win 1 more game to be crowned champions of the La Liga for the 28th time. Yeah, congratulations to them in advance. But then Kylian Mbappé also made himself some good. He set himself a personal record of being the 29th, or scoring the 29th hat-trick in the history of the El Grande Clasico. What a season he's having. But unfortunately, he might be finishing the season without a single trophy. Mind you, his PSG side, the side he left, are already champions of the Liga. They could be winning 4 trophies in a single season. And I can imagine how Kylian Mbappé might feel about that. But then what is, the setup? How is Hansi Flick doing this so easily? Something Xavi failed to do. In 4 games this season against Real Madrid, his side has scored 16 times, meaning that in every game they've played against Real Madrid this season, they've scored an average of 4 goals. And Real Madrid are not finding answers to that. So there's a 16-7 aggregate scoreline between these two teams in their last 4 meetings this season. And it looks like Hansi Flick and his boys are slowing down. But people are raising eyebrows, especially Madrid fans, asking how these bunch of kids, the likes of Lamine Yamal, who is a teenager, Paul Kabasi, Pedri and co, just whipping the asses of, these grown-ass men. It doesn't really make sense. But then that is one of the reasons why Madrid fans feel it's about time Ancelotti steps down from his role as manager of the club. And we've already heard it. Yeah, there's been rumors. But definitely there will be some final confirmation that Ancelotti, due to his, failure to even beat Barcelona once this season, could be stepping down. So for Madrid, it's not really about a trophyless season. It's not really about having a trophyless season, but it's about being humiliated by these bunch of kids. That is where it's all going wrong for Madrid fans. And the fact that they've not even drawn a single Clasico game this season. They've played 4 times and they've not even been able to manage a draw in any of the games. It tells you how, dejected and disappointed they are in Ancelotti. Ancelotti is a serial winner. We all understand. He's won so many UEFA Champions League titles. And in the history of Real Madrid, he's their most successful coach. But it looks like Madrid are so ruthless when it comes to sacking managers, especially when you fail to deliver in their biggest game. They feel like, see, it's about time you go. And that's why Ancelotti, despite all the accolades he's won, all the trophies he's won for Real Madrid, after losing for the 4th straight time against this Barcelona side, he's definitely going to get a sack.